This is our regular council meeting, the first for the month of March. It's 2:15. The meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Keys.
Here.
Councilman Galvin.
Here.
Councilman Desilme. Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Present.
Mayor Bieneme.
Here.
Mayor, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Now we have Major Blanchard. Where's Major Blanchard? Oh, it's going to be the chief. Blanchard, where are you? Oh, okay. Here. We're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance with Major Donald Blanchard from the North Miami Police Department, follow with the invocation by Pastor Shewo Seju from the North Miami Police Department chaplain.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you
very much, Major Blanchard. And now Pastor Shewo Seju.
I believe the pastor had issues connecting.
Okay. Are we waiting on her? Is she coming, or are we gonna have
I would suggest Commander Brinson.
Commander Brinson? Okay, go ahead, Commander Brinson.
Let us all bow. Father God in heaven, we all come before your throne of grace, thanking for all your blessings. We thank you for the ability today for us to gather together to go about the business of the city of North Miami. We hope and pray that all things said and done here will be for the benefit of the residents and staff and residents of the city of North Miami. Let us all say amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Commander Brinson and Major Blanchard. If if Pastor Shewo Seju still show up, we can allow her to have a 2 minutes conversation with us, because when you put aside time to just come up here for a few minutes, and with that communication issue, it's been Claude, let me know if Pastor Shewo Seju still it's around. Okay.
Sure thing, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, for the record, as of 2:18, Councilman Alex Desilme is present.
Thank you very much. Let's set the agenda. Madam City Manager, do you have any addition, deletion, amendments, or defer to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, since we have almost all council members here at City Hall.
Yes, Mayor, you have a quorum. Yes, Mayor, you have a quorum at City Hall. The agenda is set. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. COVID-19 update by Commander Brinson.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, all of our guests online, Commander Angela Brinson, Emergency Manager. We are continuing to provide the most updated information for our residents about vaccinations and any COVID-related services. This past Saturday, March 6th, we were very happy to host a community vaccination site at the Joe Celestine Center. By the end of the day, we were able to provide a total of 186 vaccinations to our residents. So that was a great service that we were able to provide. And we look forward to creating more opportunities to serve our community as we all continue to respond to and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The state guidelines for who is eligible to receive the vaccine have been updated. It now includes school employees, who work in schools K through 12, age 50 and up, frontline healthcare workers, individuals who are 65 and up, residents and staff of long-term care facilities, police officers age 50 and up, and firefighters age 50 and up. Also, we now have several vaccination centers that are open across Miami-Dade County for the benefit of our residents. The closest locations to the city of North Miami are at Miami-Dade North Campus, which is located at 11380 Northwest 27th Avenue. Now, this vaccination site is open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Appointments are preferred, but now walk-ups are being accepted at Miami-Dade North Campus. I'll repeat that because it's not the same everywhere. Appointments are preferred, but walk-ups are accepted now at Miami-Dade campus. If you would like to make a reservation, please visit miamidade.gov/vaccine. And there you will find the links to make reservations at Miami-Dade campus, as well as several of the other sites across Miami-Dade County. You can also call at 305-614-2014 to make a reservation for your vaccination. And the second location is at Hard Rock Stadium, which is one of the largest locations. That's located at 347 Don Shula Drive. Vaccinations at the Hard Rock are by appointment only. So you must make an appointment at the Hard Rock, and you can do so by calling 1-888-499-0840. I'll repeat that for both of them. For Hard Rock Stadium, you must make an appointment by calling 1-888-499-0840. And for the Miami-Dade North Campus, you can call 305-614-2014 or visit miamidade.gov/vaccine. And finally, in conclusion, Publix Supermarket have recently began offering the COVID-19 vaccination at all of their locations across the state. The public website advises that you must make an appointment online for your vaccination there. You cannot call and you cannot come into the store. You must make a vaccination appointment online, and you can do that by visiting www.publix.com/COVID vaccine. That's www.publix.com/COVID vaccine. That's my updated report I have for today. I will now take any questions you have.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the dais? Yes, go ahead.
Brinson, please get the information from Rosa, because we do have in our office, and we have been for the past 2 months, sending people to take vaccine every week. And I saw that you did not mention that, so I don't know if there's a disconnect, so that we will let the folks know. So she's been taking information weekly. So every Thursday they call, and then they go down to but they need to call 895-9815, and they do not, residents, but not necessarily only residents at first. So anyone who needs the vaccine, and I think it's been ongoing since January 10th or something like that. It's 895-9815, or anyone in the mayor and council office. We will definitely get the information. Thank you.
That information is on our website. I'll also mention, if you visit www.northmiamifl.gov, we have a banner across the top with a current number of the cases in North Miami, with also all type of services, including what Councilman DeSome has just mentioned, that we do take names to provide assistance with setting up appointments for COVID-19 vaccine if somebody needs that assistance. And you can do so by calling 305-895-9815, and that is a number for the mayor and council's office for the city of North Miami. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Councilman Desiree? Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just Councilman Desiree, to let you know, the last set of lists that we had, we did match all of those with an appointment. They got appointments with Jackson, so we did work with all of the ones that are on the list. We're continuing to collect names, but as of the last day, all of them were connected with an appointment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Commander Brinson. And now we're going to have two presentations, the budget presentation and the finance department presentation, Madam City Manager. We're going to have one for both.
No, there's two. The first is from budget, from Shonda Taylor, our budget director, our new budget director.
Thank you very much. Now is the budget.
Which represents about a $32.4 million increase. And that increase is based on about $16.2 million, which includes purchase orders that were encumbered in the previous fiscal year, and those have now been rolled forward into the current fiscal year budget, as well as about $14.6 million, which represents funds that were remaining in last year's budget for capital projects that were not yet completed. That is now reappropriated into the current fiscal year budget as well, in addition to about $1.1 million for the CARES Act funding. In terms of our first quarter general fund revenues, I'd like for you to keep in mind that this represents 25% of the way through the fiscal year. So in terms of our general fund revenues, we've received, well, the amended budget is about $66.4 million. We've received about $21.6 million as of the time of this report, and that represents about 33% of the budget. Again, we are ahead of budget in terms of the revenue right now, and that's primarily due to property tax revenues that are received in the first quarter of the fiscal year, as well as on the chart, you can see that licenses and permits are at about 56%, and that's primarily due to occupational license revenue. As we take a look at our first quarter general fund expenditures by department, again, our amended budget is at $66.4 million, and our year-to-date expenditures are at about just under $21 million. Again, this represents 25% of the way through the fiscal year, and we have spent 32% as of the time of the report. Again, this is for the time period October through December 31st, 2020. And we're at 32% primarily due to the one-time pension payout that is in October, and that represents about $8.1 million. So you'll see across some of the departments where they may exceed the 25% spending. Now, as we take a look at our enterprise funds, that includes water and sewer, water, fire, flow demand, as well as stormwater. And when we look at the enterprise funds, the amended budget is at about $76.2 million, and our year-to-date revenues are at about just under $3 million. And so part of the budget amendment is due to about $35 million that will go into the current year budget, due to prior encumbrances as well as projects that have not been completed as of yet. And in terms of our revenues being at about 4%, a lot of that is due to timing, about a 1 to 2 month lag with timing for those revenue receipts. And then the expenditures are currently at about 11%, which is under the 25% level. This slide, this represents our special revenue funds, and keep in mind that for our special revenue funds, this now includes the building fund, which is reclassified from the general fund to a special revenue fund. And that's about a $3.1 million budget that is no longer in the general fund. However, it is in the special revenue fund, and we'll be tracking that closely. But this also includes a lot of our grants as well. We are currently at about 33% year to date for the first quarter in terms of revenues, and 5% for expenditures. Transportation funds, this includes the half-cent surtax as well as the gas tax. These are on about a 1 to 2 month lag in terms of receipts from the county. So this is represents 5% of revenues received as of December 31st, and expenditures are at about 9%. And then our internal service funds, this includes risk management, which is risk management typically receives revenue from the departments to cover the cost of premiums, administrative charges of a third-party administrator, as well as claims. This also includes fleet management revenue that is received from departments to cover the cost of vehicles, as well as vehicle maintenance that are used by the departments. And these funds that receive revenue from the operating funds to cover the cost of the premiums, the administrative charges of third-party administrators, workers' comp, general liability insurance, claims, as well as fleet maintenance services. So the amended budget is about $9.6 million. Revenues received to date is about $1.7 million, which represents 17%, and our expenditures are at about 16%. But at the end of the fiscal year, we will receive the revenue that's associated with these expenditures. And our last fund would be the debt service fund, which includes our pension loan repayment. And right now, that's at the amended budget is about just under $1.8 million. And the actual revenue is $446,300. And that's about it at this point for debt service fund. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Madam Budget Director. Question from the dais. Who's going to start? Councilwoman Keys.
Back in the one of the first slides, we have like about a $25 million increase in the budget. These are for rollovers and from the previous year. Are we not supposed to approve these amendments to the budget? They don't have to come to our council to amend the budget? Because we kind of go through this every year. All of a sudden, the budget is amended. We haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering what the proper procedure is. I know our manager has the authority to, and in the last few years, we had a little extra money. It was automatically done. I think.
Well, it wasn't about extra money on the rollovers. It's normally done after the budget process, and the city manager does have the authority to make the amendments. That includes any appropriations from last year that wasn't spent to be rolled over, and other amendments as the year goes through. That's also approved as part of the budget process to make all of the budget amendments that are necessary.
So we don't need to ratify these amendments?
No.
Madam,
can we wait? Council Keys is talking after that.
No, I'm just listening. I don't really have anything further to say. So all these were purely administrative variances. There wasn't anything extraordinary. We didn't have any extra income come in that we weren't expecting and anything like that.
No, there wasn't. The only income that was additional, as you saw, was the 1.1 in the CARES Act in order for us, because that was coming as a reimbursement basis. So that had to be put into the budget. So we budgeted that as an emergency fund, and the others are all from the previous year.
Okay, I'm just questioning to make sure that we as a council are doing our part. Thank you.
Let me ask you a quick question and to follow Councilwoman Keys. At no point during the year we're going to have a budget reconciliation.
When you say budget reconciliation, as we showed you, there's like an amended budget. So as something goes into the budget, you'll see the amended budget in our quarterly reports. And we do identify changes that were made from those amended budget reports. So like next quarter, you know, you will see if we have amendments to the budget and it's amended or increased or anything of that sort, you'd see it in those quarterly reports.
Thank you very much. Councilman Desume.
Yeah, to follow up with what Councilwoman Key said, did we sometime last year said that we wanted to have, I don't know if the attorney could chime in on this, that we wanted to know what's happening, because we didn't want to have the same situation that we had in previous years, not knowing these reconciliation, and then the year will come out at the end of the year, and then we find out, whoa, this is what's happening. I know the manager has power in terms of what he or she can do, but how do we reconcile with that, Mr. Attorney, in terms of knowing, because she brought a good point.
Well, today's part of that. I mean, you get quarterly reports.
Yeah, but this is a presentation.
This is the purpose of it. Say again, sir?
Yeah, this is just a presentation. I just don't, this is the first time this was emailed to me, but I'm talking about in terms of having a briefing, going into explaining to us in detail, at least for me, in details what's been, I guess amended. Because if we voted on the budget, I'm assuming that's what's in my head. Not necessarily would know until the end of the year when I hear that, oh, this department or this item that you voted on was amended at some time during the year. I do not want to have that type of issue down the line. So I don't know how we could do that. I don't call this as being part of,
Should I?
Councilman, I will set up a meeting and we can debrief with our budget director to go through that with you. And it wasn't our intention to kind of go through, but we were in March and we had a new budget director. So we're getting some things together. We will come and have before we do the mid-year so that you all are all aware. The quarterly budget reports were actually a part of one of the responses that we had in a previous audit that said in order to have the council know what was happening is to have the quarterly reports going on. So we will continue to have those quarterly reports, and I will have a briefing in the mid-year.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
A quick question, Madam Altosori or Madam City Manager. Throughout the year, around October or November, we don't have a budget reconciliation or a budget amendment that we usually voted on? No? If we were to get a new source of funds, for instance, when this new bill passes and we get a new source of funds, that's what typically comes before the council to say that was added in. And as you recall, we did have a $1.1 million ordinance for this new grant of funding. Because this wasn't a new set of funding, it was funding that was already from the previous year for the rest of it. That's why there isn't an item. But whenever we get a new source of funds, you would see that through some resolution. For those previous allocations, we don't do a budget reconciliation around October or November every year.
There is a project.
Or carryover project.
Reconciliation. Yes, we do a project reconciliation. Yes.
Okay, it's project reconciliation, not budget amendment.
Right. Yeah, that's a budget. That's a reappropriation. But yes, we do the project reconciliation.
Thank you, Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Thank you. We could always request that we have monthly budget hearing with you, right, Madam City Manager?
Yes, at your request, we can. Please note that I can't have it at the beginning of it because it takes about 15 days from the end of an actual budget month for me to have all of the information for that month. So we do monthly internal reconciliations. We've started that process. So I can share with you our monthly as we're going there. But the reason why we move it to quarterly is because it takes so much time. It takes like half of the other month to get all the numbers in for the previous month.
Could we at least have an overview or a good overview of what it is? I understand what you're talking about, but apparently, I think what the will of the board is to not wait till the quarter to know what's going on, to at least know on a monthly basis, especially if there's a significant increase or decrease, so that we're not waiting when we're doing budget to be surprised.
No.
And I think
When it comes
I
from me,
will join you on a monthly.
member.
We can join on a monthly. I'm fine with that. We can have it monthly, and I can have Shonda join me monthly through my meetings with each of the council to give them an update.
Yeah, any council member that requests that can have that, even if they need a weekly one or monthly or every 2 months, but not a presentation to mayor and council, a public presentation.
all right. I wasn't referring to the presentation. I was referring to in our thing for us to be updated for what's going on.
No, at any time, someone can request that and get that with the city manager and budget. Yes. Councilman Galvin, no question? Yes, go ahead.
Just real quick, Madam Budget Director, nice to meet you. Good presentation. Through you and the city manager, related to COVID, I often get asked, what has COVID done to the city's budget? What's going to be the impact? With the presentation you're making today, are you seeing any COVID-related budget impacts? And if not, when do you expect to see them?
Well, so we had some level of loss of revenue. We didn't have any issues as much with the property taxes because the property taxes were already collected after we came to there. We do expect that we might see some loss or deductions in the following collections for property taxes, and other revenue sources, as we had shown last year, did go down, including getting some levels of some fees, some fines. As you know, we had to suspend originally some of our hearings for code enforcement. So there are certain areas where we've seen some reductions. The biggest concern is whether the following year's property taxes will be affected for COVID. So we
But
did
let's say
make
this one, the report 2 days before COVID. That's mean whatever COVID gonna be for the next report in June, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
And we made some estimate changes in the last budget that we had lowered revenue expectations because of some of the COVID related issues. What we can do for our next time is we can show any patterns of some loss of revenues that are coming in from COVID. So we'll show that in our next presentation as well.
My last question, Mr. Mayor. There's word in the Miami Herald today that we may be eligible for $10 to $20 million if and when President Biden's new CARES package is signed into law. Do you have any information on that money and where it can be applied? I mean, is it all going to be for instance, homeowner and business assistance, or is some of it going to be able to offset?
It's to cover the deficit related to COVID, not for new programs.
So yes, I do. I did receive information, hopefully in this bill, because of our city having over 50,000 residents, we should be eligible for a direct amount. The last estimate that I had was about 18 million, was roughly about 18 million. One of the differences that we've heard from our representatives is that last time we had funds, we were not able to calculate our loss of rents or revenues in that. And it could only be a reimbursement of what we spent. The expectation is that the final bill will be more relaxed and we will be able to apply some of the monies to reduced revenues. So I don't have the full, but that's the expectation. So then we would be able to create additional programs and likely have more room and more time to come up with ways that we want to help our residents and help our businesses. One of the main differences from this one is that the funds should be coming directly to the city. As you can recall, when we had the last one, it went to the county, and then there was a whole appeal for cities to even get that money. By the time we got it, we had about 45 days until its expiration. So we're expecting that it'll be different. We'll be able to have more conversation about how we're going to spend it, and we can apply some of it for any of the reduction in revenues that we've had. We also believe, but we haven't gotten that confirmed yet until, of course, the final bill passes, but we may also be able to use reductions in revenues since the start of COVID. So we're not 100% sure yet, but we're going to look to that when that comes in. But it should be a lot more relaxed, and we should be able to find more relief. I will be sending a correspondence asking the council in terms of things that are important to you and what we could use these additional funds for.
Madam City Manager, please. You know, yes. Now it's like you ask us to come up with project for $18 million when you don't know if loss of revenue is not more than $18 million. It's better not put us in that situation. You're going to reach out, someone going to tell you they need to build a $20 million project. That means you don't know the deficit. 18 million maybe less than the loss of revenue. Don't tell us you're gonna burn us. You're already in the budget deficit. You don't know what's COVID gonna burn. Don't tell us you're gonna reach out for projects when you don't have the money and you don't know your deficit yet. Please.
But when I say projects, let me correct that. I meant aid. So there may be additional aid that we could provide to residents and businesses. So in addition to looking at what our reductions in revenues are, and it has to be revenues that you're able to say is, due to COVID. In addition to that, I'd like to make sure that I consider any help that the council.
We're gonna do that. Okay. Yeah, but understand you have a deficit that you need to balance. That's mean when you're gonna let's don't go there, please. Because you already have project for over $18 million. That's mean if you're gonna ask for project. We have to cover the deficit and whatever loss of revenue from COVID first. When you give us that number, then you can come up with a plan for new project or new plan, please. Yes, Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Thank you. Madam City Manager, I've been following the National League of City, and my understanding is that $65 billion that's being allocated, the one that you're talking about and that we're eligible for more than, for cities that have a population of 50 plus, those dollars can be used for deficit. That's my understanding from what the National League of City.
That's what it is. That's why we need to be careful. You're already in the. Yes, you're right. So
that was my statement earlier, that it could be used for loss of revenues and rents, but it has to be particular to a loss that's connected to COVID. So but it may be more lax. What I said was wanted to wait for the final bill, so that I don't make any statements without having the final bill. But I do understand it's going to be a lot more broader than the previous one, which was very narrow.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. And I think even today, I sent you an email from the Water Council from the U.S. Conference of Mayors that in the bill, there is $500 million grants for water and sewer project. Please, and can we have a presentation by our lobbyist at the next council about details on the money?
Yes, I'll reach out to him so that he can give details. And yes, I've received your email. We've already moved it forward to our grants team, and we want to be positioned so that when the bill comes, that we can do that. And we have a lot of our information has been through our. We've been having some periodic meetings with our lobbyists, so I'm pretty sure Clarence would be happy to come and speak to the council. I will check with his calendar and his time to come speak with the council at our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Other question? Can we move forward? It's almost 4 p.m. Thank you very much. Finance presentation now. Thank you, Shonda Singleton Taylor, and our budget director.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, Miguel.
So good afternoon, Mayor Council. Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. Through the manager, I'll be presenting the first quarter's finance cash report. So next slide. Okay, so in this slide here, I present the cash balances for the various accounts held by the city as of December 31st, 2020, as well as the previous end of the quarter, which was 9/30/2020. The various accounts from Bank of America, the daily investment account, which is our operating account, the balance was $3.5 million at the end of December. It was about 3.4 at the end of September, so there's not much of a change in terms of the balance overall. There was activity that happened between that time, and I will be talking about that on the next slide. The utility deposit account is the account that we use to track the deposits made by our customers of the water and sewer utility. So when customers open an account, they place the deposit with us, and when they close the account, we pay out of that deposit account. But as long as the account remains open, we maintain the balance. So that's those are the balances from quarter to quarter. $30,000 difference, not much of a change. The flexible spending account is the AFLAC account, which is used to pay out claims for various employees who subscribe to that benefit. So the activity in those accounts is just based on the claims that are presented to the accounts on behalf of the employees. Same with I guess that should be taken off. The same with the replacement benefit plan account as well. Those are just a function of whatever claims are presented to the accounts. They're not very many, not much of a balance in those accounts either. So in the Wells Fargo, we have 3 accounts as of December 30th. The lockbox account is the account that is used to collect payments made by our water and sewer customers. It's a zero balance account, so whatever balance that is in there is just what's left over between what was collected and what was sent to the daily investment account at Bank of America. So the difference between the 2 quarters is just a function of a timing of what balances were in there versus what were swept out of the account. The Corvell account is used by our workers' comp third-party administrator. And that account it's an impress account, so we fund it based on the claims that are presented to Corvell on our behalf, and then they make the payments directly out of there to our customers, well, to our claimants, I should say. The balance from one quarter to the next is just a result of whatever claims were presented to the account from quarter to quarter. There's also a savings account that we transferred $3.1 billion from the daily investment account at the end of fiscal year 2020. And that's coming directly out of the general funds portion of the daily investment account. Those funds were put aside to maintain some segregation from the general funds that are in the investment account so that we can have that money separate. This was a suggestion by the manager. The City National Bank landfill account is the account used to track the funds that were provided to the city by the county to fund the closure of the Biscayne Landing or the Munisport landfill site. So not much activity between the two quarters. It's just primarily interest that was earned. It was $3,600. And then there's also the escrow balance that's still with the school board. Those are the funds that the city has contributed to the escrow account. That was back in 2019 for the $5 million, which was to be funded by the county, and then the $2 million, which was the city contribution. So those funds are still in escrow account, no change from quarter to quarter. The city's investments are primarily flat as well. We had a couple of CDs with Iberia Bank, one for $500,000, one for $1 million. Those balances remain the same. We get the interest payments that are earned, paid directly to the city. The city's Florida Prime account, that was $6.7 million. It was primarily flat as well. As you know, interest rates have been fairly low, so the earnings compared to prior years has been rather low compared to, like I said, prior years. So the earnings were $3,950. There's also a CD at what was SunTrust, now Truist Bank, for about $840,000. Same with the interest rates. Interest rates are pretty low. So those balances haven't changed much from quarter to quarter. So next slide. So on this slide, I talk about the change of how the balances moved from the end of September to December, and this is only for the main operating account. So in October of 2020, there was an overall net cash outflow of $8.2 million. What that means is we had cash inflows, and this is from all operations, from general fund, from water and sewer, from all the city's funds. Cash inflows of 8.7 and cash outflows of 17 million. Now, what I've done is I've taken like a 3-year average of what cash flows are typically coming in October for the past 3 years. That's typically about 8.7 million. And so we were right about average in terms of what we took in on average. In September and in October, we typically spend about 18 million in cash outflows. And that's primarily because of the pension payments that are made on October 1st. This year's pension payments comprise 4.5 million for police and 3.6 for the Singerman clan. So that's why we have such a big spike in terms of cash outflows in October, and that's every year. Okay, so in November, we had a 3.4 net cash inflow. So we took in 9.3 million overall in the operating account, and typically on average we do 9.2. So it's about close to the average. And on the outflow side, we spent 5.9 million, but typically we usually put out about 9.7 if you look at the average for the past 3 years. Now that seemed like a pretty low number compared to the average, so I dug a little deeper, and the reason for that was there was a payment for Miami-Dade water and sewer that usually comes out in November, but it didn't clear the bank until December. And that was a 4.2 payment. Then that's a payment that we usually make for the water that we purchased from Miami-Dade County. So that kind of skewed this year's cash outflow in November a little bit. And in December, we had an overall 5 million net inflow. So this is when the property tax money comes in. The large chunk of it comes in December. So our cash inflow for December was 29.1 million. And over the average for the past 3 years was 26.1 million. So we did a little bit better. We expect that to happen just because of the increases that we get from the property taxes from year to year. The cash outflows were 24.1 million compared to what's typically 14.6 million. So part of that 24 was the 4 million that I talked about that cleared in December rather than November for the county. And also the payments to CRA were made in December as well. In prior years, we had been making, for example, the county's contribution to the CRA in January. In December, we made the payment in December. So that's why we had a big cash outflow of 24.1 compared to the 14 in December. So that's all I had. If there are any questions about any of the numbers.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Any question? Thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's move to the agenda. Number 5, consent agenda. Tab A to D, Madam Clerk.
Unless a member of the City Council wishes to remove a specific item from this portion of the agenda, tabs A through D constitute the consent agenda. Items are self-explanatory and are not expected to require additional review or discussion. These items will be recorded as individually numbered resolutions adopted unanimously by the following motion: that the consent agenda comprised of tabs A through D be adopted.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion on the consent?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desilme to approve the consent agenda. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Urban. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab E.
Tab E, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, designating Northwest 130th Street from Northwest 10th Avenue to Northwest 11th Avenue to be known as Andrea A. McDonald Street, authorizing the city manager to allocate and expend the necessary funds to cover the cost for signage and do all things necessary to effectuate the designation, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab E.
Thank you very much. Councilman Desilme, are you gonna?
Yes, sir. Are you doing public hearing first, or you want me to say a few
No,
words?
go ahead, because that's
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Madam Manager and staff for working on this resolution. As we know, Ms. McDonald is retiring, and she has been a great part of our North Miami family. Not only has she been an employee that so dedicated to the service that she brings to the city, but she has gone beyond the scope of an employee, and she's a resident of the great city of North Miami. She has done stuff beyond mentioned as a resident of the city, and as well as an employee. Not to forget, I mentioned, I gave away the surprise. She had a retirement party March 1st of this street dedication. I went into the street where she lived on, where she currently lived. And this is the street, if you guys recall a couple of years ago, that was very nicely paved, and everybody in the neighborhood wanted their street to look like that. So that's the street Ms. McDonald lived on. But one of the thing I always forgot to mention, that she is a staunch supporter of the North Miami Educational Foundation. And she has been for the past few years, and she's the drive behind that scholarship funds each year. She will make sure each of us from from commissioner down to employee, making sure that we donate, we do what we do for the kids of North Miami. So someone like that definitely deserves more. And so that's why she's going to be missed. But I ask my colleagues to please support this resolution and soon to have a ribbon cutting in honor of Miss Andrea McDonald. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Estimate Urban.
Thank you. Councilman Disame, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to co-sponsor this with you. I think she's very deserving as a former secretary of the North Miami Educational Board. I know exactly what you're talking about. I concur. I've worked closely with Ms. Donald for many years, even before I was elected. So I'd like to co-sponsor that resolution with you as well. Thank you, if you don't mind.
Sure. No problem.
Thank you very much. Now, let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab E.
Thank you for attending this afternoon's virtual regular council meeting. This meeting will allow live public comment by attendees. Public hearing will take place upon announcement by the chair of the meeting, Mayor Bieneme, and from that time, attendees will be able to virtually raise their hand, and this should function similarly to lining up at the podium. If you're participating by phone, please press *9 now if you would like to raise your hand. When it is your turn to speak, a PIN will be sent to you. Then you'll enter that PIN to unmute yourself when you hear your name called. Attendees cannot leave their hand raised throughout the entire meeting, so if you raise your hand before an item is read, it will be removed. Don't forget to state your full name and complete address for the record. And remember, you will have up to 2 minutes to make your comment. Thank you in advance for your understanding and your feedback.
Public comment on tab E.
So once again, if you'd like to make a comment on tab E, please raise your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon or pressing *9 if you're calling in by phone. Mayor Bieneme, it does not appear that we have any hands raised on this item.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is now closed on tab E. Can I have a motion to approve tab E? And
so moved.
Second.
Carol, second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab E. The motion was by Councilman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with a 5-0 vote.
It's like that.
It's over me. There we go. There's Miss McDonald.
Oh, there she go.
Miss McDonald.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now the tab F.
Tab F, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement between the city of North Miami and RJ Bayar and Company, Inc. for professional services necessary to update the city's stormwater master plan in an amount not to exceed $192,469 pursuant to request for qualifications number 08-17-18, continuing professional architectural and engineering services, providing for an effective date and all other purposes, tab F.
Thank you very much. Alberto Destrade.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. For the record, once again, Alberto Estrades, the mayor said, purchasing director. The item that you have before you is simply a request from staff for your approval of an agreement with the engineering consulting firm, RJ Behar and Company, to provide the city with an update to our stormwater master plan as required by the county's Department of Environmental Resources Management. As reflected in the report that was submitted in support of this item, in order to comply with the requirements from the Department of Environmental Resources Management, the city has in the past developed and submitted for review a citywide stormwater master plan, which addresses, among other things, stormwater quality concerns, mitigation of chronic flooding areas, and compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program's community rating system guidelines. Staff is now moving forward to update the latest stormwater master plan by including projects that have been completed since the last revision was made to this plan in 2012, evaluation of land use changes which have taken place since then, sea level rise projections, stormwater system modeling and water storm surge inundation maps, as well as FEMA community rating system assistance. Staff has negotiated a fee of $192,469 with RJ Behar to perform the necessary updates and to provide the city with an assessment of possible sea level rise impacts on the city's primary stormwater management system. The entire scope of work is anticipated to be completed within 18 months from issuance of a notice to proceed. Staff is now recommending approval to this council of the contract with RJ Behar and requests also your authority to finalize and execute an agreement with the firm for these services. Here with me in support of this item is the city's Public Works Director, Mr. Whistler Pierre Lewis, as well as representatives from RJ Behar to take any questions you may have regarding this proposed agreement. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Now let's open it to the public.
If you would like to speak on the item at tab F, please raise your hand at this time. If you're participating through the web application, then you'll want to click on the raised hand icon. If you're participating by phone, please press *9 now. Mayor Bienemay, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Council members, any question? No? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Alberto, thank you so much for the presentation. Just want to understand, I see that it says in the resolution that it was advertised 2017, then it mentions it something in 2019. When was this advertised?
Yes, this was actually advertised in 2017, but it's not a specific project. This is part of our CCNA list. There's 8 different categories that we have in our CCNA list, and this particular firm is under the category of water resources, stormwater design, wastewater engineering. So in essence, they're part of the pool that we have are our CCNA consultants. And again, we make assignments out of those pool of qualified consultants.
And what was the selection process?
Well, in that specific category, they were the number 2 ranked firm in that particular category. The first ranked firm is a firm by the name of Tetra Tech Incorporated, and the council has already awarded and assigned a contract with Tetra Tech. They're actually designing a forest span right now as we speak for the city. So RJ Behar was the second in that category for, as I mentioned, water resources, stormwater design, and wastewater engineering. So they were the second ranked firm.
Okay. So just so that the residents understand, so we had a need. And when did we decide, when was the selection made? Because it's kind of misleading when you're reading the resolution. It's just like, oh, this was advertised in 2017. That's so long ago. So when did we determine that we needed this service? And, that's what I'm trying to, if you could just explain that to the public.
If I can, let me clarify. So because we have a number of services that we know that we need throughout, including engineering services, we will put out a request for qualifications to create a pool of qualified vendors. It helps the process. So in 2017, we put out for a pool of qualified vendors in different categories. This one is the wastewater. So as different things are needed in that category, we would look to that pool that met the qualifications to see what's there. In order to try to do it in an equitable fashion, generally, if someone was already awarded, we kind of go to the next person on the list for available projects. So as Mr. Destrada had stated, the other one of the first one in line had already been awarded a project. Now the second one would be in line for this. And the reason why the time period is about 4 years from now is because usually these lists can stay somewhere between like 5 years or updated. It's to create a pool so that we're not going out to bid for every single project. We find qualified firms, we put them into a pool of vendors, and as projects come up, we can go to that pool that has already been pre-qualified and find someone from that pool. So currently right now, because we're required to do our updated stormwater master plan, procurement goes back, looks at our pool of vendors that are already pre-qualified. And from there, that's how they get awarded.
And so my next question is, in that pre-qualification, was the price already set? Or do you then go and negotiate a price with them?
No, the
We still negotiate prices.
Yes.
We still negotiate the prices with them.
That's all the questions that I had. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion to approve the item if there's no more questions?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab F. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Tab G, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting standard policies and procedures for the appointments to city boards, commissions, and committees, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab G.
The mayor and council, this item was prepared on behalf of the mayor. As you may recall, about 3 meetings ago, the city clerk, during her presentation, asked the council to consider a different method in appointing individuals or residents to our city boards and commissions. Following that meeting, we received a request from the mayor to put this together. So we put together this resolution that establishes our procedures for appointing board members and commission members. Essentially, what we're doing is exactly what we've been doing. We're just kind of memorializing what we're doing and making the process a little bit more formal. The one thing that will change is that for each appointment, there will be a resolution that will be brought to the council. The benefit of that is that we have something in writing that names the person. We'll know when they were named. They'll be part of the public record, and we'll be able to follow that a little bit better. Also, this policy requires that the clerk, which I believe she's already doing, but the clerk would look at the qualifications and come back to the council with a report on the qualifications of those people that are being appointed to the board. So we hope that this meets your needs and that you'll support this resolution. I'm not sure if the clerk has anything to add or the manager, but that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Do you have anything to say?
Well, thank you, Mayor, for coming up with this resolution. I think that it's extremely important that when people are applying to boards, that we actually take time to look at people's qualifications, because what we did a full board assessment, went through every single board and looked, and some people just weren't qualified to sit on some of the boards that they were on. And it's important that if we're saying as a city that we actually want to move the city forward, we want to do these big projects and things, that we also include folks who have those qualifications and are actually, you know, a lot are right here in our city. And so that, to me, would help us as an office to be able to do that work on behalf of the council and give us actual time to do that. Because what's been happening is that, you know, I only receive names the morning of, have to go back and just look for, or applications the morning of council meeting, and it really doesn't give us any time to do the actual work that needs to be done. And this also helps us to ensure that folks who are being appointed are actually committed. So.
Thank you very much. And let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab G.
If you would like to speak on the item at tab G, please click on the raised hand button. If you're participating by phone, you can press *9 now.
Tab G again is open to the public. Public hearing is open on tab G. No one.
Hold on, sorry, there is a hand. So Sarah McDevitt, I'm going to now unmute you. Please unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record, and remember you have 2 minutes to make your comment.
Sarah McDevitt, 14490 Northeast 10th Avenue. I appreciate the idea behind this, and I do serve on a few of the city boards. You know, the qualifications for each board would be interesting to have those stated in advance so that people, as they apply for the boards, have a clear understanding of what the expectations are. Because I know a lot of people who volunteer to serve on these boards do so, you know, using their personal time and do so with the best of intent. So I think respecting people's effort to give to the city is important too. And, you know, that they would come forward and offer to serve is admirable and deserves respect as much as, you know, the expectations for them on that board should also be clear in advance.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open.
And that was the only person with their hand raised. I don't see any other hands raised, Mayor Bienemy.
Thank you very much. Council members, any questions?
Just one, Mr. Mayor.
Well, yes.
Sure. Through you, Mr. Cazzo, I don't know. I heard some mention of passing a resolution or something like that to put the name in writing for record. Can you go over that again for me, please, so I understand better how that'll work?
The process is the same. I mean, an applicant would go file their application with the city clerk. City clerk will check their qualifications. If that person's qualified and the council indicates that they want to appoint that person, then they will send that request to my office. We'll prepare a resolution, and then it will appear on the next available council meeting. And according to the manager, I believe we're going to create a new section in the agenda, much like the consent agenda. So all of those resolutions will be under that agenda item, and you can vote for them all together unless someone pulls an item.
Okay, that's cool. I can live with that. I just didn't want to start going person by person and a resolution and all that. So okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have your motion to
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, Vanessa, thank you. This is a very aggressive, time-consuming procedure you're taking on, so I want to make sure you are okay, because it's not, it's needed, but it is aggressive, so thank you. We have spent a lot of time changing ordinances, putting in requirements for certain boards, especially our quasi-judicial boards, planning and board of adjustment. And we haven't really, we've changed ordinances with requirements, education, business experience, which we don't follow. Some have residences requirements. So we really do need to monitor that. The only minor thing I'm going to look at on this procedure is in paragraph 3G, which states, when a vacancy exists or member's term is set to expire, the city clerk will recruit applicants that are suitable candidates. I don't think that's really something that's a city clerk is supposed to be doing. I would rather it say that the city, you can recruit if you want to do a general notification to the public. And also the other way would be a notification to council and or the council member who has a vacancy, and to let them know they have a vacancy. But I don't think our clerk, and this is not personal because this goes on, city clerk doesn't go around getting applicants.
So what she meant is to put the information out there so everybody knows and bring it before us, you know, and so it's to just let
I think
people
it should be a little more clear. I mean, the clerk should not be going out talking to people, hey, would you like to be a board member? That's not really the way it's supposed to work.
Nothing she don't mean. That's not.
It's not a matter of she. I'm just saying we're doing it.
Madam Clerk, can you clarify that, please? Before.
I'll defer to the city attorney on that.
Okay, Mayor, you were correct. I mean, we use the word recruit, but I mean the The idea was that the clerk would put out the notice so that the public knows that there's a vacancy. We can always change that language to say something like the clerk will provide notice to the public. But at the end of the day, you all still get the opportunity to appoint anyone. It's not like the clerk is going to recruit anyone and appoint anyone to the boards.
And as a matter of fact, I see a lot of cities right now. What they do, it's council members who have vacancy. They put notes on social media, said, I want to appoint someone to the Park and Rec Board who from the city want to get appointed. So it's more about putting the notice out there and let people know who has a vacancy and in terms of empty boards or vacancy on the board.
So maybe recruit's not the correct terminology, but I understand.
Okay. And Councilwoman Estime-Irvin?
Yes, so I wasn't going to comment, but I just want to make sure that, well, city attorney, can we amend that word? What is another word that we can use? Because before I say anything, each council person, and including mayor, is allowed to appoint based on whatever the ordinance says on different boards, right? Isn't it a part of our duty to appoint someone? Let me just say that.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, nothing about this resolution changes the charter or any of our ordinances. All we're doing is creating a procedure to fulfill the requirements of the ordinances in the charter.
Okay, so I definitely want to piggyback off of what Councilwoman Key said, and I definitely would want to amend that word recruit from the city clerk's office. And it should actually be that the person that has the vacancy, the council person or council member that has vacancy should then go ahead and fill that spot, right?
Okay, no, I mean, always, I will change the language, as I've said before, I'll change the language to state, instead of using the word recruits, we'll just say the city clerk will provide notice to the public of available board vacancies, and that'll be that.
I appreciate it.
And understand public notice is part of the city clerk mission to put notice out there and let them know that about different boards and vacancies available in those boards. And yes, Councilwoman, please.
One last question, comment. Sarah McDevitt spoke before, and most of the requirements are found scattered around our municipal ordinances and charter. Possibly it would be good for our clerk to put up in their section under boards. We do have a board section, the qualifications requirements for each board, so people don't have to start looking in Unicode, which is a pain. So I think it's a good idea. People, I get notice this is, oh, I want to be on this board, this board, this board, this board, and they really don't know what they are. They really don't know the qualifications, especially our local board of trustees.
I assume when the city clerk said put the notice out there and we quit, that's what she meant to do. Put the information out there so
that would be
people know, so we can choose. But at the end of the day, it's the same process. You just put something in place so everybody knows.
If we have on the website, that helps the council also to know, oh, you have a vacancy, go to the board and see, well, what exactly is required. So then you can go.
Sometimes you may be a business from the city or a resident from the city.
So that would be nice to just consolidate all the different requirements per board. So I would appreciate that. Thank you.
But everything like that is up to the city clerk. That's when, if you want that, is the manager that's need to come up with that. That's when it's up to the city clerk, because she controls her department. And we will encourage them to do that. But the city manager can always put that on the website and update those boards, making sure that people know exactly about the requirement to be on one of those boards. Thank you very much. And now your motion to approve tab G.
So moved.
No, second.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab G as amended. The motion was seconded by Mayor Philippe Yereme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Now, Citizens Forum.
If anybody would like to speak during Citizens Forum, please raise your hand at this time. You can raise your hand by clicking on the raised hand icon through the desktop application or the web application. If you're participating by phone, you can press *9 now. So Sarah McDevitt, I'm now going to unmute you. Please state your name and address for the record. And remember that you have 2 minutes to make your comment.
Hi, Sarah McDevitt, 14490 Northeast 10th Avenue. I just wanted to say to everybody that the process that was used to go through the development of the Griffin Park site, the ideas, and the way that the CRA engaged the public, while we didn't get the feedback that maybe one would have hoped, it was a really admirable effort on the part of the CRA and very much appreciated. You know, the meetings that I attended and all of the presentations were very well thought out, and I just want to say that it was a model procedure, and the outcome was, from my point of view, really just well presented. So thank you very much to the organization that put that together and the CRA for making that happen.
Thank you very much. Citizen Forum still open.
I do have a previously submitted comment, Mayor, so I'll go ahead and Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard, North Miami, Florida, 33161. All over our residential neighborhoods, a series of drag racers have been flying down the residential streets doing donuts in the intersections. The speeds of these cars are often over 50 miles an hour, and the evidence is all over our city with big black circles all over the roads. Homeowners' fences and yards are routinely crashed into, and people have gotten hurt. The neighborhoods deserve support on this issue. It has been going on for months. Please make this a priority to resolve. I would also like to bring up public meetings again. I believe it is time to return to in-person council meetings. All over Miami-Dade, municipalities have returned to in-person meetings. North Miami has no reason not to return to public meetings at 7 p.m. on Thursdays. The public needs reasonable opportunity to address their government and participate in their governing. Thank you, Laura Hill.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Citizen Forum.
Once again, if you would like to speak during Citizens Forum, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raised hand icon or pressing *9.
No hand raised.
Mayor Bien-Aimé, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Citizen Forum is now closed. Council report. District 1, Councilman, no report. District 2,
Thank you.
Councilman Keys.
Two quick things. One, hurricane season is starting 17 days early. I hope our disaster preparedness, Commander Brinson, we're ready to start.
Can you repeat? Yeah.
Hurricane season is starting 17 days early this year, May 15th instead of June 1st. So I hope our city will adjust and get prepared for hurricane season. Just notice, Commander Brinson, I know, is in charge of that. So just pointing that out, make sure everybody's getting ready. And secondly, I'd like to invite everybody to our Get in Gear bike ride this Saturday at 8 o'clock. Our stops are going to be at the Enchanted Forest, our North Miami Enchanted Forest, and Chen Senior Medical Center. And after, we're all going to come back to the plaza, and we will be planting 5 Miami-Dade pine trees in front of the police station. So hope to see everybody Saturday morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Why are you talking about trees? Madam City Manager, those median trees, we cannot put palm trees in the medians. That would make the median more beautiful. I do understand we need Florida-friendly or native plant on the sidewalks, but when it comes to the median, there is about 20 trees, and I don't know. Can we change that, Carol?
That's FDOT. FDOT has put those trees in. These will be really nice once they get big and they'll do shade. They'll be better for.
Big. You have those one by Villa Maria and elsewhere. They've been there for 20 years. I don't see any. I'm talking about the only 20 in the media. With some nice palm trees during Christmas, that would be beautiful.
I don't know if you noticed, the city of Miami Beach is like just completely eliminating palm.
They're talking about coconut trees. Talking about at the beach, on the beach side, not the median.
Trees.
They're not changing the median of the street.
Well, if you want to tear down those trees, but I believe those are all FDOT's trees.
I'm asking you to do so.
I'm not taking trees out for palm trees.
That was a joke. District 3.
I love palm trees are my favorite, but they're just now going forward with the environment. The regular trees are just so much more friendly to our environment.
Yeah, the palm trees are for Northwest 7th.
Take them out.
The cow can have those trees.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Women's History Month. I hope you take time to learn all about what women have contributed to our society, in particular in North Miami. Also, later tomorrow, actually, we're going to have virtual talks with none other than our beloved Chief of Police to address some various issues that are happening throughout our city, in particular to District 3. And then Thursday, we're going to, for you parents that are listening, we're going to have conversation with Dr. Steve Gallen discussing, discussing various things that are affecting us and our family and our students throughout this pandemic. For more information, you can call 305-895-9818. Also on Saturday, because a lot of people asked for it, we're going to have another movie drive-in. So that'll be this Saturday. The gates open at 5:00. And we'll be airing Black Panther. So I hope you come out and see that. Again, for more information, the same number, 305-895-9818. Also, there'll be a luncheon, a women business luncheon on the 25th. There'll be more information about that. And I'm going to give you some information for free COVID-19 vaccine, even though it's not in our city, it's not far, and you don't need an appointment for this. The only thing is you have to be 65 years of age or older and obviously must be a Florida resident. So that address is 690 Northeast 159th Street. It's 7 days a week, and it's from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'll repeat that. This is actually the Moderna vaccine, and it is distributed at 690 Northeast 159th Street between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 a.m., 7 days a week, and no appointment is needed. So you have various options. You can call our office to sign up to what Councilman Desume has been advocating for months now. You can go to this address that I just mentioned.
What the address? That's Father Jean-Jus Community Center?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yes.
Oak Grove Park. Just at the people of Grove Park.
So I have a question on how we need to proceed with, I know we just passed this resolution for the board. I know that city manager had sent us a memo about the auditors selection committee. How are we proceeding with that?
I did receive a name from one of the council. So I'm just, if anyone has any other recommendations, we will bring it forward. We're hoping to bring to the March 23rd. I know it wasn't, I know we didn't have as much time, but this is a change in the way that the auditor selection process does go. So we can still accept and ask for some by tomorrow, but if you guys have any other nominations, that would work. The other thing I would say though, just in case you guys know, I understand that there's a lot of financial professionals And because it's tax, we are not going to start the first meeting until after April 15th. So you can ask your, people that are accountants or get residents or accountants in the finance world that would otherwise be busy up until April 15th to apply.
Okay, so I have a question. So I had a couple of people to appoint to a board. Do I have to wait? Does the process starts now, or how do we move forward?
Do it later.
The only thing that we need for the board, the reason why we passed the resolution is to make sure can show every council member who's making an appointment have an appointment open. That's when the clerk is aware of that, and they have an appointment open, and each of us have the application, so we know the person, the address, and at least we have a quick overview of the person. That's the reason. I don't have an application in front of me. That's when I don't know the person that
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of appointments that they submitted their application actually a couple of weeks ago. One appointment I was actually going to make, and I just forgot to make it in our last meeting. Will you allow me to appoint that person?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For what position? Let's check with the city clerk. Yes. What?
This is for Rose Collion.
No, the board. Which one?
Yes, right. So for the MOCA board.
MOCA board.
Yes.
The board of trustee or MOCA board period?
So for the MOCA museum.
I just don't know.
So I'll let the city manager tell you what.
Madam Clerk is managing the board, not the city manager. I don't know.
Mayor Bieneme?
God, yes.
Well, I mean, has the person committed to paying the associated fee?
Yes, they have. Yes.
And so what's the...
I just want to ask, do we each have an appointment? Because I've never made any, and I'm not trying to make any appointment, but how much is the fee, if I may ask? I just throw it out there.
10,000 minimum.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So who's the appointee?
Rose Collion.
It's not
Rose
who? Rose Coriolan.
Oh, exactly.
Rose Philippe Coriolan.
Okay. I believe Councilman Galvin has a question.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. City Clerk. I've never known us as a council to appoint the MOCA board members.
Board of Trustee.
Yeah, so Councilman Galvin and the city attorney can verify this. Each one of us can appoint two people. One of them has to be someone that's in the art industry or in that arena, and then the second person has to be a resident of the city. We all should be appointing persons to that board. And
So
the city attorney can verify if I'm correct or not.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote for it today unless the city attorney can jump in.
That's why we prefer that that to the city clerk. The city clerk know the regulation, and so when we come up, and we all know that we have the appointment. I didn't know I thought we already appointed 32 members for the trustee board or something like that. I don't know.
Can the attorney provide some clarification? Is he here?
So we're looking it up right now. I know that there were some modifications based on the previous management agreement that was just made in 2019. So we can come back to you with that because there were some adjustments that were made about how appointments could be in the requirements based on the agreement. I don't have it in front of me, but we can look at that and I can get back to all of you.
Thank you very much. Are you done with your report, Councilwoman Estime Irvin?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 4, no report. You don't have a town hall in April? A conference
Yes, I will
town hall,
announce it
something?
at the next meeting, sir.
There's nothing for the food pantry? You have too much food. You don't talk about
there's
the food pantry.
There's food in there.
Too much food.
No. There's food in there. If they want food, they
There's
can
a
go and get
position
food.
open. There's a position open to recruit a food pantry administrator, something like that.
Oh, I
You
didn't know
gotta let
about
the public
that. I didn't know
know.
about that. Is there one? Madam Manager, is there one open?
You don't have enough place.
Huh?
I did not hear the question.
For the food pantry, you don't have an opening for the food pantry out there?
I don't know exactly which position you may be asking.
You don't have an open position out there for a food pantry administrator, whatever it is? No?
We have an administrator, I believe we have one, but I would have to check the website.
Okay, no, I just wanna.
Check the website.
Yeah.
There was a position in the budget that was created, and that would have been in that arena. So yes, whether or not it's advertised or put out, I would have to check from HR at some point.
Can we find another way to advertise those jobs available? Sometimes nobody knows. The residents are not aware.
We currently advertise the jobs through our website, which connect with like Indeed.com. Depending on what type of position it is, we also look for some other organizations that may have more related people coming to their site. And then in some cases, we also have them on LinkedIn, but it depends on the position because there is an additional charge. But if you have a specific site for a specific position, we're happy to do that. For an example, we did advertise the CIB. We not only advertised it on our site, but we also advertised it on a national site for that type of work. So we do try to advertise in different places.
Okay. Okay.
And Madam Manager, for those big positions, also the National League of Cities is a good way we could send it because they send out a weekly email with and the Florida League of Cities to other cities and stuff. So that's a good way.
Thank you very
I will
much.
certainly relay that to our HR.
Thank you very much. And city managers, do you have any report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So just a reminder that,
Sorry.
and I assumed you were talking about me. So daylight savings time is coming up on Sunday, the 14th. You'll be setting your clocks ahead by 1 hour, but that's okay because March 15th is National Napping Day. So you can, use that to recover. Of course, voter registration deadline for the May 11th general municipal election that we're having is April 12th. So if you need to update your address, marital status, party affiliation, whatever you need to do on your voter registration, please make sure it's done by April 12th so that you can vote in the May 11th election. Also, for those of you who may be interested in running, if you haven't already filed, just want to let you know that qualification period is March 29th through April 6th, and it will end April 6th at 12 p.m. noon. Early voting begins April 26th and ends on May 10th at 7 p.m. And again, the general election for the city of North Miami is May 11th. Once again, to all the women, happy National Women's History Month. This is certainly a time for us to celebrate the accomplishments of women in culture and society. But this is also a time to amplify the voices of women throughout the community, throughout the world. And so I just remind you of the theme, which is to refuse to be silenced. And we won't let anything continue to silence us. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. A question for you, Madam Clerk. If someone registered to vote right now, would they be able to vote on May 11th?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, do you have any report?
Just real briefly, I know we've got a couple of emails. I know a lot of the residents are interested in the FAA lawsuit that we have. I just want to let everyone know that we are lead counsel. The city of North Miami was the first to file. Several of the cities, or at least two of the cities, I think in conjunction, have hired attorneys who are familiar with FAA issues. So we do have two prominent attorneys who've done these type of cases before that are part of the group. There was a mediation last week. I'm sorry. There was a hearing last week to discuss mediation. The FAA indicated that they were not ready to mediate. However, the mediator did give us time to go through the extensive documents that we received from the FAA to come back with our position in hopes that we can get the FAA to the table. So that'll be another hearing. I believe it's sometime in April. We'll have another hearing on that. But I just want to let everyone know that's where we are with the FAA hearing. And as things come up, I'll bring that up because I know folks are interested in that case. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Madam City Manager.
No report.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to adjourn by Mayor Philippe Bien-Aimé. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 4-0 vote. It is 3:51 p.m.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.